I think the first thing when studying a monument like this to remember is that there's an awful lot of information over and above the text itself, and that most people who saw this displayed in the northern frontier, best part of 2,000 years ago, couldn't have actually read the Latin bit themselves either. So there's a lot of information to be read from the image. And if we look at this image, it's a pretty impressive in-your-face monument. You have a rider with an elaborately plumed helmet. He's carrying a strange staff. He is on a horse. The horse is a very important part of this funerary iconography here, which is itself richly decorated. You can see the trappings on the horse here, and he is riding over a cowering barbarian. Now, dramatic as the cowering barbarian may seem here, he's actually by far the least important part of this story, because battered barbarians make great space fillers for funerary monuments involving horses. What they want to show is the link between rider and horse, because the soldier is drawing his status from the fact that he is a horse soldier, and secondly, because he is a standard bearer. So both of those are prominently displayed to us, and that message would have been very clear to someone in the military milieu of northern Britain in the 1st century AD. But there is text as well, and that text follows formulae that are very, very familiar. In fact, if we were looking at this on the German frontier, if we were looking at this text or a version of it in Rome itself, we would find identical formulae used. So what does this text actually tell us about our horseman? Well, the text starts with the familiar introduction, really, dis manibus, that is to say, to the spirits of the departed. And then it gives us the deceased name. No surprise there. We would expect that, wouldn't we, on a tombstone. So we have his name here, Flavinus. Rather interesting touch here. The stonemason has, after the F, the L, the A, the V, moved on to the N and tucked a little I just on top of the N to give us the Flavinus. N-V-S. Who is he? There are many things we might say about ourselves on our epitaph, or those who set the epitaphs up for us might say, but the main information that we get on these types of tombstone is the military status. He is an EQ, he is an eques, that is to say a cavalryman, a horseman, of the ala, A-L-A, Latin for wing, the term used for a cavalry regiment, the ala Petriana. Now, some of the most ancient cavalry regiments in Roman service actually were known by the names of their founder or distinguished commander. This regiment we know a lot about. It was to become the most important cavalry regiment in Britain, the only cavalry regiment in Britain of 1,000 strong. Those days are ahead of it now. It's known simply as the Ala Petriana on this tombstone, but its formal title ends up blossoming to the Ala Augusta Gallorum Petriana Miliaria Civium Romanorum, a sense of just how a regiment can carry so much in its title. And it tells us that he wasn't just any horseman, he was also a signifer. So here the text reinforces the image of the standard bearer. Tells us also who his troop commander was. He was in the Turma, T-V-R here, T-V-R, of Candidus. And it's interesting that the subunits of the Roman army are not given numbers at this level, the centuries and the Turma. They're always known by their commanders' names. Then we have his age at death, not a date when he died. Note, the Romans don't do that, but his age at death. And that age is 25, so annorum, the AN for annorum, and then the Roman numerals, 2 X's and a V. Underneath this we have STIP for stipendiorum. Now in English today we talk about stipendiary and non-stipendiary positions, paid or unpaid positions. So he has served 7 years before dying. Interesting that his period of military service is seen as something that is important to record, but it is. It's a standard on military tombstones. And then the H and S for what would most commonly be HSE, Hic situs est, is buried here. Well, Flavianus is not buried here. We don't know now exactly where he's buried. This fine monument was understandably an attractive source of stone for the new abbey when it was constructed in the 7th century, and that's how Flavianus found his way here to Hexham. The monument used as part of the construction of the abbey. When it was recovered, when it was discovered in more recent times, prominently displayed here so we can all enjoy it and appreciate just how elaborate the funerary architecture of a single cavalry trooper on the northern frontier might have been in the 1st century AD.